All right. Hey, everyone. You ready for another deep dive? Today, this one's pretty cool, I gotta say. We're gonna be looking at this Nigerian film called Prophetess, and it's got me pretty hyped.
Oh, yeah, I've heard of this one.
Yeah?
Have you seen it?
I haven't seen it, but I've heard a lot of buzz about it. Looks really interesting.
It's wild. So we're going to be basing this off a review from MovieKaTicket.com. Have you ever heard of this site?
I have, yeah. It's great for finding, like, international films,
Yeah.
stuff you wouldn't normally stumble upon.
It's awesome, yeah.
Yeah.
I've been using it a bunch lately to find different stuff. But this film is supposed to be a real blend of genres, too, like comedy, sports, suspense. It's like it threw everything in there,
It's always cool when a film can pull that off,
Yeah.
seamlessly blend those elements together.
Yeah, for sure. So the story revolves around this local prophetess. Her name's the joke. And her life changes, like overnight, when she predicts an Arsenal win in the UEFA Champions League.
No. And, she also correctly calls the winner of Big Brother Niger.
Yes.
All during, an Instagram live session.
Wow, that's like a recipe for instant viral fame right there.
Yeah.
You just, tap into those big cultural moments and boom, you're everywhere. But I think what's really interesting is how the film delves into that intersection of traditional faith and, this whole digital age,
Yeah.
I mean, think about it. This seemingly simple prediction, amplified by social media, it, catapults her into this whole whirlwind of attention and consequences that she could never have even imagined.
And it makes you think, right? How quickly things can change in the digital age. 1 minute, you're just another face in the crowd, and then the next, you're thrust into the spotlight.
It's true, and the film doesn't shy away from exploring the potential downsides of that sudden fame either,
Yeah.
Makes you wonder if all publicity is actually good publicity.
Right. So a joke's riding this wave of, online fame. But then things get really interesting when she predicts a major upset in this local football league.
Okay.
So picture this. You have the Wonder Boys, the ultimate underdogs. Nobody thinks they have a chance.
Right.
And they're going up against the Giddy Boys, these undefeated league leaders.
Oh, wow. David versus Goliath.
Exactly. And a joke predicts that the Wonder Boys are going to win.
Bold prediction.
Huge prediction. And this isn't just about, local pride or bragging rights or whatever. This prediction triggers a massive betting frenzy. People are putting their hard-earned money on the line based solely on a joke's word.
So the stakes are suddenly sky high.
Oh, yeah.
Because this is the world of high-stakes betting.
Yeah.
Fortunes are won and lost on the outcome of these games.
Yeah.
And that's where Easy Ego comes into the picture.
Yeah.
Now, he's the owner of Sure Banka, a major betting company.
Okay.
And a joke's prediction could potentially cost him a fortune if it comes true.
Oh, man. Yeah, you can understand why he might be a little on edge.
You bet. The film does a really good job at capturing that tension, that feeling of high stakes and potential financial fallout. But it does so without, sacrificing the human element of the story,
Yeah, because it's not just about betting and the drama around the game, right? There's also, a joke's family. They're dealing with their own struggles. The review specifically mentions her sister, LeBay, and how she's trying to handle their mother's mounting medical bills.
Right, exactly. And that's what I think is so compelling about this film. It, seamlessly blends the comedy and the suspense with these really grounded, relatable family dynamics. It gives the story this whole other layer of depth,
Yeah. And speaking of depth, the review mentions Toyin Abraham. She plays a joke, and she's getting rave reviews. They say she brings this perfect blend of humor, emotion, and authenticity to the role.
Oh, yeah. She's a phenomenal actress. From what I've heard, she completely embodies the character.
Yeah.
Makes her both relatable and inspiring, And it's not just her performance. The film as a whole is supposed to be visually stunning, too.
Mm-hmm.
The review talked about how it captures both the vibrancy of village life and the intensity of the betting world. You really feel transported into the heart of the story.
And speaking of transporting audiences, get this. Despite COVID restrictions when this came out, Prophetess brought in a whopping 43 million naira in just 4 days.
Wow.
That's incredible.
That just shows you how much it resonated with audiences. A critical darling and a box office smash.
Yeah.
That success probably comes from its exploration of these universal themes. Faith, superstition, the allure and potential pitfalls of social media, and then the very real consequences of blind faith.
All within this backdrop of the ever-present world of sports betting.
Yeah, exactly.
Wow, it sounds like Prophetess packs a punch.
Yeah.
So if you're looking for a film that's entertaining, thought-provoking, and visually engaging, Prophetess seems like a sure bet.
Absolutely. And it's a fantastic gateway to explore the world of Nigerian cinema, which is incredibly rich and diverse.
All right, now, before we get too ahead of ourselves, let's rewind a bit and delve into the nitty-gritty of a joke's journey. Remember that prediction about the Wonder Boys?
Oh.
Well, let's just say it throws a major wrench into the plans of our friend Izzy Ego.
Oh, yeah. Things are about to get interesting. Let's just say Easy Ego. He's not the kind of guy who takes losing lightly.
Especially when there's so much money on the line, right?
Right, especially when a fortune is at stake. And remember, this is like the world of high-stakes betting.
Yeah.
Fortunes are won and lost based on these games.
Mm-hmm.
So Easy Ego, well, he decides to take matters into his own hands.
Oh, boy.
Yeah, he hatches this plan to make sure that the match swings in his favor.
Wait, is he talking about rigging the game?
He's talking about match fixing.
No way.
Yeah, Easy Ego's desperation to avoid this massive payout leads him down a pretty dangerous path.
Because he's getting involved in shady business.
Shady dealings to manipulate the match. And this puts a joke right in the crosshairs of this whole scheme.
So her prediction doesn't just make her famous, it puts her in danger.
So to be careful what you wish for, right?
Yeah.
Her sudden fame attracts all this attention that she never anticipated, and not all of it is good.
That's gotta be scary.
Definitely. And the film does a great job of building that tension as a joke realizes just how serious things have become.
And I imagine her sister Labak, she gets caught up in all of this too.
Oh, absolutely. Labak's already dealing with the stress of their mom's health issues, and now she's thrown into this world of prophecies and betting schemes and potential danger.
It's like their whole world is turned upside down.
Yeah, their family dynamic is really put to the test as they try to navigate these uncharted waters.
It sounds intense, but it still has those human elements woven in.
Exactly. And that's what makes Prophetess so engaging. It's not just a thriller.
Yeah.
There's this story about family and loyalty and doing the right thing, even when the odds are totally against you.
That's powerful stuff. And it reminds me of what you said earlier about the vibrancy of village life. What can you tell us about the setting and how it plays into the story?
Well, the film was shot mainly in Ibadan, which is this bustling city in southwestern Nigeria.
Okay.
And the choice of location is perfect because Ibadan becomes more than just a backdrop. It's practically a character itself.
Interesting.
You see the hustle and bustle of everyday life, the vibrant colors, the music, the sense of community, and it all adds this layer of authenticity to the whole story.
It's like the setting grounds the more fantastical parts of the plot, right?
You have this prophetess with her predictions in this crazy betting world, but it's all set against the backdrop of real life in Ibadan.
Makes it feel more relatable, maybe.
Definitely. And it's a really fascinating blend of the ordinary and the extraordinary, and it works really well.
You know, even though we've gotten deep into the plot here, I don't want to lose sight of the bigger picture. It sounds like Prophetess is more than just a fun movie. It has something to say about Nigerian society today, about the power of belief and the impact of our choices.
Absolutely. It's thought-provoking, it's visually stunning, and it's genuinely entertaining.
And it makes you think.
If you're even a little bit curious about international cinema, this film is a must-watch.
High praise.
You might even find yourself wanting to watch more Nigerian films after this one.
I know. I am kudos to MovieKaTicket for shining a light on these hidden gems.
You're doing great work.
Now, before we wrap up our deep dive, I'm curious about the film's resolution. What can you tell us about the ending without giving too much away?
Well, the ending really emphasizes the importance of personal responsibility and the dangers of just blindly believing everything you hear.
Important lessons, for sure.
It encourages viewers to really think critically about the information they come across and to question the motives of people who claim to have all the answers.
That's a powerful message, especially these days when information and misinformation spreads so quickly online.
Exactly. And it ties back to the film's exploration of social media influence. A joke's rise to fame is fueled by going viral. But that same virality is what puts her in danger.
It's a double-edged sword.
It's a cautionary tale, for sure, reminding us that online fame can be fleeting and that our actions online can have real consequences.
So it's not just a critique of fame, but also a commentary on responsibility, right?
Yes, especially the responsibility that comes with having a platform, even a digital one.
Like being careful what you put out there.
Prophetess encourages us to be more discerning with the information we consume, to question what we see and hear, and to think critically about who's trying to influence us and why.
And that's what we're all about here at The Deep Dive, encouraging listeners to engage with the material to form their own opinions and to really dive deep into these topics that spark their curiosity.
Couldn't have said it better myself.
So Prophetess isn't just a lighthearted comedy. It grapples with some complex themes.
It tackles these issues with nuance and humor, leaving the audience with plenty to think about long after the credits roll.
Sounds like my kind of film.
It's a film that stays with you.
Well, I'm adding Prophetess to my watch list tonight, and a big thanks to MovieKaTicket for introducing us to this gem. It's amazing how these platforms can open up a whole world of film experiences.
It really is. It's a testament to the power of film to connect us all through shared stories and experiences.
And on that note, we've reached the end of our deep dive into Prophetess. But before we go, I want to leave you with a thought-provoking question inspired by the film. Imagine that you suddenly became famous for a prediction. What would it be about, and how would you handle the consequences, both good and bad, of that newfound fame? It's something to think about as you go about your day. Thanks for joining us on the deep dive. We'll catch you next time.
It's really cool how Prophetess uses humor to deal with some pretty serious stuff, like we're talking about blind faith and social media and the crazy world of betting. Yeah, it's a tricky balance to strike, but that's what makes it so effective. I think it doesn't shy away from these complex issues, but it does so with a light touch.
Right, keeps things engaging.
Exactly. It invites us to laugh at ourselves a bit, to question things, and to really think critically about the world.
And that humor probably makes the film more accessible to a wider audience, too.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
It's not preachy at all. It's a film that entertains and makes you think and sparks conversation.
So we've talked about the plot, the characters, the setting, the themes, but what about the actual filmmaking? The review mentions how the director uses visuals and sound to build tension, especially in those betting scenes.
Yeah, what's really interesting is how they use close-ups and quick cuts to create this feeling of urgency and anxiety in those scenes. You know,
I just see it.
like you could practically feel the characters' hearts racing as they watch those odds change, and fortunes are won and lost in an instant.
It's got that high-stakes energy.
And the sound design is amazing, too. All the chaotic voices, ringing phones, the clatter of betting slips. It just adds to that feeling of being in this crazy, unpredictable world.
Sounds like a real sensory experience.
Oh, it is. And then you have that contrast with those scenes in the village where everything's slower and the colors are warmer and the sounds are more natural.
Yeah.
The director really uses the setting to create these different atmospheres and to emphasize the different worlds that a joke's moving through.
So smart how those little filmmaking choices can make such a big difference to the story.
For sure. And Prophetess is a great example of how those elements can come together and create a really immersive cinematic experience.
For those who are maybe wondering where this film fits into the bigger picture of Nigerian cinema, can you give us some context?
Well, Nigerian cinema, or Nollywood as it's known, is one of the biggest film industries in the world in terms of the number of films they produce.
Oh, I didn't realize that.
And Prophetess is a perfect example of what modern Nollywood has to offer. It's this vibrant mix of genres, relatable stories, powerful performances, and a unique Nigerian perspective.
So it's not just a great film, but a great starting point for anyone who wants to explore more Nigerian cinema.
Definitely. And platforms like MovieKaTicket are making it so much easier to discover these hidden gems from all over the world.
It's like opening a door to a whole new world of storytelling.
Exactly.
Well, our deep dive into Prophetess has been amazing. I'm definitely adding this to my list, and I encourage all our listeners to do the same.
You won't regret it.
And remember that question we asked earlier about what you would predict if you became famous for. It takes some time to really think about that. What would it be and how would you handle the consequences, both the good and the bad? That's all the time we have for today's deep dive. Thanks for joining us, and until next time, keep exploring, keep learning, and keep diving deep.